Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. As the recording of this, it is Monday, February 5th, 2024. I'm out running some errands today. I'm in downtown Orlando. And first stop is right here at the Ace Cafe, a place that used to, before it was the Ace Cafe, was 8 Seconds, a country-themed bar. But before that, I remember it as the Edge inside. Also the Edge shed right next to it, and where I'm standing currently was the Edge concert field, where in the mid-90s, mid to late 90s, I saw a cavalcade of bands right here. Now this will probably not be the only stop that I go to today, but starting here, right off of I-4. In fact, this section is completely different than it was in the 90s when I used to go to a bunch of concerts. In fact, the parking area used to be right over there where the Lynx bus stop is, and this building was not here. That building was there, and this building has always been here. And I believe it was also a newspaper at one point. So I'm just gonna walk around the perimeter of the now closed property, just see what I can find and see where the day leads. And I'm inviting you to join me. It's good to have you here. Shall you? I've stopped here before in the past. It's been a while. And I've kind of peppered in some facts of me being here, my younger years. I thought since it's the 30th anniversary, the other day was the 30th anniversary of Dookie, the Green Day album that really kind of broke mainstream punk to the masses, if you will. You know, some say it did, some say it didn't, but a lot of people got to know about the genre because of that. And then Offspring, Rancid, all that was kind of around the same time frame, a little bit after that. But Green Day Dookie really put things on the map with the general population and consensus. And right here, Trey Cool, Mike Dirt, Billy Joe Armstrong performed. Stage was right there where those planters are, almost where the concrete changes. This was all dirt at that time. Saw a lot of other bands here: Pantera, Typo Negative, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden. Took place in here on the edge, at the Edge outdoor stage. Offspring on the Smash tour. I also saw Offspring a few years before that at the Edge shed, which was adjacent to the Edge, which is now the Ace Cafe. The Edge shed was over where those tennis courts are over there, which are sitting there empty and abandoned as well. I'll kind of walk over there and check that out. Also, the 1995 Warped Tour, the first Warped Tour took place here. But also, 2 days after it was here in Orlando, that trek of tour dates ended up over at the Tampa Fairgrounds. I went to both of those. I went to this one and to Tampa, separated by 2 days in 1995. Quicksand played, Seaweed, Orange 9mm, Sublime, where Brad passed away. And at that time, there were only 2 stages. There were only 2 stages at the Warped Tour then. There was the inside stage, and there was the outside stage, which was the Edge shed, which was right there. I said it was the tennis courts, but now that I'm over here looking at it, it was technically right there in that little grassy area. Used to have the Orlando Ska and Punk Awards were in there. I saw some bands here performing. There used to be like a little, some makeshift stage here on this little, where this porch area is. This has actually been extended since the 90s. Saw Hagfish in here. Saw the Ramones in here. Gosh, how many other bands? Saw Hole in here, the infamous Courtney Love slap. She had to come back for and go to the Orlando courthouse. It was on the other side of this building and went to court. There was a whole lawsuit over it. I was at all those shows. Bad Religion in here, Unwritten Law, Guttermouth. They were on the first Warped Tour and ended up joining that band years later. But right here, it was interesting, when Green Day played here, they played here twice in '94. In fact, I saw them at the station in Fern Park, which was that direction, about, I don't know, 10 miles. They played there in a 200 or 300 person venue, a bar. And that was about 2 to 3 weeks before Longview hit MTV. In fact, Billy Joe mentioned that they had just filmed a video for MTV and got a lot of boos from all the punk rockers in the crowd because, you know, MTV, sell out, the whole thing. Worked out pretty good for Green Day. They've done really, really good. Their career just dropped a new album, Saviors, which is pretty good. I've been listening to it in the car. Still like Green Day, even though I think after Warning, the band pretty much kind of changed their style a lot, but they're still pretty good. Big old school Green Day fan, so I'm glad I got to saw them pre the Dookie hype, even though Dookie had just been released. But they played right here, and then not long after that, the Offspring played here. I can still remember the entire crowd jumping up and down when they were playing Self-Esteem. The entire crowd, like, you know, a few thousand people here just hopping. And I was one of them, right up there in the old pit there. Anyway, just kind of reminiscing a little bit. I was in the area, talked about some of this before, but wanted to stop off and just see, now that I know the place has been officially closed. I'd love to get inside here. I'd love to get inside here, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And as I'm standing here, I'm starting to remember other bands that I saw. I saw Tool here on the Undertow tour, which was their first full-length album. I believe they had one before that, was like an EP, but that was the first one that had Sober on it. The band Failure, which, great album. Failure, I think Fantastic Planet was the album that they had out at that time. Amazing band. It was Failure and Tool. I think Maynard was feeling a little ill that day. So they only played about 5 or 6 songs. But it happened right inside this little building. Right inside of here. And this was where the Shed was, the Orlando Shed. Where I saw Pennywise and the Offspring. Offspring opened up for Pennywise. That was late 93, early 94, don't quote me on that. And then, not long after that, the Offspring played here. The stage was right here. And it was the Offspring, and then before the Offspring, Guttermouth was the direct headliner, or was the direct support for the headliner of the Offspring. And then Bouncing Souls before that, and the local band Shyster, which recently played a reunion show. I was out of town. They played it at Will's Pub, I believe. Really loved Shyster. They were just a great band. So this was where the stage was, right here. People climbing up the rafters. Now they imploded the Orlando Arena. The old Orlando Arena used to be adjacent over that way. So if you went under I-4, was the old Orlando Arena. Of course, Shaquille O'Neal in the early 90s played for the Magic. He's getting his number retired, I believe, in like a week or two over, finally, after decades. They're gonna put his number on display. They're gonna retire his number. But the first concert I ever went to was not a punk rock show, was not a rock show, was not a country show. It was Naughty by Nature, right here. I won tickets on XL 106.7, went to the concert, maybe 200 people crammed in here inside the Edge Shed. Not even that far was the end of the building, like maybe where those little first set of palm trees are. Stage was right where I'm standing right here. Naughty by Nature was doing their thing, hip hop, hooray, that whole song. And Shaquille O'Neal, as a rookie or first or second year, maybe his first or second year, he might not have been his rookie year, but within the first couple years of him being with the Magic, shows up, slam dancing around, throwing people around in the pit. And I remember everyone thinking, oh, that's that new guy for the Magic. Of course, that was before everyone had cell phones, could take pictures and videos. This probably would have gone viral at that point. Anyway, just kind of remembering all those times. Really got to wonder what they're going to do with this building. I did get to get inside when it was the biker bar that was here last. And it still kind of looked the same. Oh yeah, I also saw NoFX in here. In fact, I jumped off the balcony, or jumped off the railing inside. It was a second floor. Basically the way it was is the stage, you'd load in here, the stage was right here, then there was like a little drop down that was like ground level where this is. It was almost like a horseshoe, like a little like downward pit area, and then the upstairs was up there, and there was some railings. Remember, I jumped off there, leaped off into the crowd during NoFX. Ah yes, my rambunctious days. Ace Cafe has permanently closed their doors, but a pleasure serving Orlando for the past 6 years. Yeah, I kind of wish the doors were open. I would love to get a look inside there, but doesn't look like the doors are ajar. They're just doors. Dang, this brings back some memories. You'd be able to walk in through here. Right over here was where the person would check your tickets. Ticket, please. And you'd walk in, then you take a right and go towards the stage area. I mean, this is bringing back memories from 30 years ago? No, wait. Yeah, 30 years. It'd be 94. Yeah, 30 years. I should have known that because I stated it was the 30th anniversary of Dookie. That was around that same area, same time frame. Wow. You can see Ace Cafe put the little markings down here. Got the cones all set up. But this area over here, I don't really remember what it was. This was like separate off to the left of where you go in and like stamp your ticket. Maybe like another separate bar area. But this building's been here a long time, even before it was the edge. And the way the line would always go, so the parking was over here. There was different trees. In fact, I can remember one time there was a long queue line for people that were waiting to go in the edge for one of the multitude of shows I went to. There was different trees out here. And there was a tree here. Was not a palm tree. These are newer palm trees. But there was like a regular tree with branches. Someone climbed up in there and was just kind of like sitting there. It's amazing what you remember after 3 decades. And Unwritten Law, Scott Russo's a singer of Unwritten Law. I showed up a little bit late. They opened up for Bad Religion and I missed their set. It was during the Blue Room album, which was their second album. No, the second album. First album was Blue Room. It was during the Oz Factor tour, their second album. That was when they played that show here. And I missed their set and I was very, very disappointed. I remember Scott was out front. And I was like, dang, I missed your guys' set. It's pretty unhappy. But I got to see Bad Religion, who were awesome. Recipe for Hate tour, perhaps? Around that time frame. Doesn't look like anything in the building is being utilized at the moment, in fact. Look down here, it still has... Oh. Harry P. Lou. That's probably the same guy that Lou Gardens is named after. Oh my gosh. All the flyers from back in the day. I always remember this address, 100 West Livingston Ave. Wow. Just seeing that kind of jars like some memories. Interesting how that works. There's a reflection of the jarring. That Ramones show was Frank Black from the Pixies that opened up. It was like solo project. Also saw Mighty Mighty Bosstones here. The Butthole Surfers. Bosstones were incredible. I don't remember what tour it was. Maybe the Don't Know How to Party tour. Somewhere around that time frame. But man, I just remember thinking, this is one of the greatest live bands I've ever seen. Or Dickie just going nuts. The guy they used to dance around. Also stage diving, jumping off the rafters. There's a few stickers here. These are not from back in the 90s days, but these are probably from when it was the biker bar days. This is kind of where the stage was. All right, this is wild. Okay, to the far right over there was where the stage was. So first Warped Tour there. All the concerts that I mentioned, the bands were all right there. Really amazing. Just on how small the place really is. In my memory, I thought it was a little bigger. I always knew it wasn't gargantuan, but definitely not a huge venue. So above there was the little balcony, the little railings. We have the second floor up there. So Bad Brains here. I think that was the show Hagfish opened up. Pretty amazing. Hagfish. Fish, great band. That's about the closest view of where the stage was. They put up some railings, but the stage is still there. So that's where all the performers stood, facing over there to the other side, looking out on the crowd. Trying to figure out where the bands would have loaded in at. Probably around this way. Yeah, they probably pull their stuff up here and load in through these doors. Alright, this is the best angle I could ever ask for without even getting inside. You can see right in this window. Holy cow. Look at this. I gotta soak this in. Wow. That's the floor. That was the entire size of the place. Up there is that top balcony area that I jumped off of, the second floor. Fat Mike was standing right there, mocking me as I was leaping down into the crowd, as he often did. Unbelievable. Saw the Ramones here. Right there on that very little platform. That was the stage. Looking down on the. Everybody was down about 3, 4 feet down, standing there. I probably saw 50 concerts here, or more. Sometimes up on that top balcony. Sometimes I'd walk down the stairs, go to the lower section. Unbelievable. The Edge. Really glad this window wasn't covered up with anything. You just like peek in. Yeah, right there on that, right there was that. Where's Courtney Love slapped that kid? Right there on the right there. Again, Bosstones. Dickie was climbing the railings, jumping off. The guy that dances, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He was jumping off, stage diving also. For some reason, I ever got to go inside here and get a tour. If someone was here on property and was to let me in, it would be very eerie to be in there with nothing happening. Again, I did get to go inside there when it was the Ace Cafe. I was here with my friend World of Micah. We both got in there and walked around. I was telling him about the old days. Of course, he didn't have any recollection of it because he wasn't living here at that time. But he was fascinated by all the different bands that I saw. The formidable years. My concert days, punk rock days, Warped Tour days. Man, that is freaking cool. That is freaking cool. Dang. Yeah, I had to try. I just got to thinking about something, even countless concerts that I went to here. But also when I was working in Publix from 91 to 93, they used to do like dance nights. They were like alternative nights where they play like top alternative music. And myself and some of the guys on the stock crew, on Wednesdays, if we were off work on those Wednesdays, we would show up here to club nights and they would play like alternative music. Even just saying that is just not something I would ever be into, going like a club night. But the fact that I did that when I was like 18 and 19, 91, 92, on the non-concert days, it was like, I was trying to be cool, going to the club. But it wasn't like traditional dance music. It was just like alternative kind of music, like alternative nights on Wednesday nights at the Edge. Gosh, I can't believe I even remember that. Early 90s. And obviously, since it was the Edge, they built that little staircase there. They remodeled it a little bit, but the stage was right there. And then again with the little dance area down below. Kind of get the idea. Serious memories popping back in. Just looking in that window opened up the floodgates. Now, I've gone by here before, always stood in the parking lot, never been this close up, and never looked in the windows. Wow, that stage view, something else. That was awesome. Also, when they did that first Warp Tour out here, this is where the bike and skate ramps were, like the half bike and all that. Yeah, pretty wild. 30 years ago, Green Day. Right here. And now I got to thinking about it. I wasn't originally going to go by the other place, but I saw Green Day twice that year. Again, this was the bigger of the two shows. There's probably 3,000, maybe 4,000 people in this little, what is now a parking lot next to what was the Edge. But I think I'm going to go by where the station in Fern Park was. I've been by there before, but I want to see if they built anything on the property and show where that first concert was about 2 to 3 weeks before Longview was released on MTV. It's not too far from here. All right, made the commute about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes over to Fern Park off of Fernwood, where the station in Fern Park used to sit. Now, I had to look it up. The date at the Edge, where Green Day played that show, was September 25th of '94. And I don't believe that there was a national act opening up for them. If memory serves correct, now I couldn't find anything online about it, but I believe it was a band called Wooden Horse, which I think might have been like a local band. Now, the station in Fern Park the concert was on March 12th of '94. So you got March 12th of '94, and then you got September. So let's see, January, February, March, September. Was that 5-month difference between the two shows? One of which, I'm guessing that was probably like a power box for the station that went up this pole. And now it is just a grassy piece of nothing. Bands would have loaded in around the back here. Most likely was when the era they had the Bookmobile, which was a very small vehicle that they toured in. Load in around the back. Here's a slab of concrete left over here. Or maybe some new concrete nonetheless. But this is the entire size of where the station was, right here. The band Tilt opened up. They were on the Play Cell tour, which is a great album. Till It Kills album, which came out on Fat Records afterwards, was good too, but nowhere near as good, in my opinion, as Play Cell that was released on Lookout Records, which RIP to Lookout Records no longer exists anymore. There's a big truck now in the way, but the entrance to the station was right here where this truck is. Well, kind of more around the side over here. That would have been the front entrance there. That would have been in early March, March 12th of '94. So I saw Green Day right when Dookie was released, twice that year. The year that punk broke, some say. Stage was right here, right here. The three of them. That was back when they were a power trio. They've added a fourth and fifth member since then, but they still do interviews as a three-piece. I kind of prefer them the early days when they were a power trio, before adding any of the rhythm guitar and all that. That's just me. Here was the stage right here, exactly in this spot where I'm standing. Give or take a couple feet. That's where the band was, right here. Billy was probably here. Mike was probably there, or vice versa. Then I was over in there. I was right about here. I do remember there was not like a security wall. There's no barricade at this show because there was only like 200 people. The bar was back there. The restroom was back there. There was like a little open area here. The stage was elevated to, you know, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet off the ground, 3 feet off the ground. Band was here. Crowd was down here. We were stage diving. Me and my friend Jason were here. Stage diving off into the crowd. No one stopping us. No security saying, "No, you can't do that." Band was totally fine with it. And then Longview hit. You can still see some of the foundation of where the station was. This tree here is no longer looking that decent. Again, you got that truck parked where the front entrance was and where the stage was. The old High-Lie building over there, which is now a church. Now, I couldn't find an exact day when the music video of Longview broke, but they said, they're searching the web, that it was in March. But I do recall the video had not dropped yet. What was it, the 12th? March 12th, I think I said it was, that Green Day played here with Tilt, the opening act, just the 2 bands. I don't remember a third. Also, for years, Cinderblock, who was a singer of Tilt, that opened up for that show, used to do all the merchandise for Green Day. I don't know if she still has a hand in that or not. When you used to get any Green Day merch back in the day, they would have like Cinderblock, like Productions or Cinderblock something on the tag. So she kept in contact with the band. In fact, Trey Cool in the Longview video is wearing a Tilt shirt, fun fact. And they did that first Dookie tour, and obviously Green Day toured a lot before that tour, but that's the tour I'm focusing on. I never got to see Green Day on the 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours tour or Kerplunk, which are some of my favorites as well. In fact, I have the album cover for Kerplunk right here. Love it. Yeah, I love early Green Day. And Lookout Records. Got Moved Back Home, the Queers there too, as well. I love early Green Day Lookout stuff. Again, couldn't find an exact day in March of '94 that Longview broke, but it had not happened yet. In fact, I was stating how Billy was on stage, said, "Oh, we just recorded a music video. They just got done filming it. It's going to be on MTV soon." The entire crowd, a lot of middle fingers, a lot of profanity, you know, "Yeah, you sellouts," that whole thing, which is always, you know, I don't think a lot of bands have to deal with the whole sellout terminology as much as it was, but in the 90s, mid to late 90s, that was a big term that you would tell a band who was signing to a major label and becoming successful, who was like going away from their beliefs and away from their roots. They would call them a sellout, and that was what the whole crowd was doing. But then the music video, probably within a week or two after that, hit MTV, and everyone, all of my friends, immediately knew who Green Day was. It became just a whirlwind. It took the world by storm, because MTV was, you know, in the prime of MTV, anything that ended up on there, and the fact that that song was just so huge, it took everything over, and there wasn't really anyone out there that was like, you know, watching TV and into pop culture at that time who didn't know who the band was. And then the Woodstock, when Woodstock happened, it was the second Woodstock, it wasn't the original Woodstock, obviously, in the 90s, and Green Day had the whole mud slinging fest. There was no one who did not hear about that, and then the band's popularity went to a whole other level. Speaking of Lookout Records, Mike on that Woodstock Mudfest is wearing a Screeching Weasel shirt, used to be on Lookout Records, and Mike played on a Screeching Weasel album, played bass guitar on a Screeching Weasel album, so little tie-ins. You can kind of see where the front of the station was right here. The front entrance is over here. There was a little parking area here. There was an awning that stretched out, so we all walked in. Everyone that was at the show, it was maybe 200 or 300 people. I don't know what the capacity was, but it wasn't very massive. I remember pulling up, parking, walking up, and seeing the crowd out here, a couple hundred people, and thinking, "Oh man, this is going to be a rambunctious group," and it was. Man, seeing Tilt, the Playsell tour, and Green Day, just a couple hundred people, stage diving, singing along in the microphone. Mike and Billy, just awesome. Now the album, Dookie, was released on February 1st, so it was a few days ago. It was the 30th. The music video didn't come out till March. So this show, if it was on the 12th, if I was reading that correctly, was about five and a half, let's say 6 weeks. So the album had only been out 6 weeks. I stumbled on it by accident. I was buying a lot of stuff on Reprise Records. I also heard the Muffs were on Reprise. Love the band The Muffs. Kim Shattuck or Kim Shattuck. I never knew how to pronounce her last name. Really big fan. I always kind of equated them to Green Day in a lot of ways with the way their sound was on their music. So obviously a female lead. She recently passed a few years ago. Thankfully I was able to see the Muffs in LA one time. Thankfully, they never really toured Florida that often, but when I went to California to visit, one of the first times I went and saw them play. But I just stumbled on that cassette tape. That was before CD. I guess no, CDs were out. No, it was around. No, I actually had it on cassette tape. And in that album, it's either Bert or Ernie. I think it's Ernie. There is an Ernie doll that someone in the pit is like holding up like a Muppet or Sesame Street, not Muppet, but Sesame Street character. And I think that they have omitted that, probably because some kind of legal issues. That is no longer in the album liner notes anymore. But I used to have that cassette tape. That was around the Offspring Smash. Came a little bit after that, a few months after that. And then CD started to gain popularity. But in the early 90s, all I had was cassette tape. I think CDs might have been coming out and getting popular, but I still had the cassette tape player. And I got this album, Green Day Dookie, put it in and was like, oh my goodness, what is this? Then I realized, saw a flyer that they were playing with Tilt, and I was big into Tilt. So came up, saw the show, and man, just absolutely incredible taking place right here. Just picture a younger me circling around, singing along, stage diving. A much thinner, less older self version of myself. If I tried to jump and slam dance around now, I'd probably be incapacitated for a month. That was the good old days, right? Saw them a couple times after that. In fact, there's one other venue I could go by. I saw them at the Tampa Fairgrounds. Talking about Warped Tour Tampa Fairgrounds. Green Day played. I do not remember who they opened up for, but it was a post-Dookie tour. Might have been either Nimrod or Insomniac. But then I saw them. The last time I saw them, I'll go by the place I last saw them, which was on the Warning tour. It was on the Warning tour, kind of when they were like losing momentum in the populace. It was like it was even that big of a crowd. It was a little more than what the station was, but considerably less than their Dookie area. This is before. What album came after Warning? American Idiot. Because Warning came out, they were kind of on the descent down. In fact, I think even the band, there was interviews of Billy and Mike saying that, should we just call this quits? Let's just not do this anymore. Then they revamped themselves. Billy lost a lot of weight. They rechanged their music style, kind of brought it back a little bit, but also changed it up more modern day, cleaned up their image a little bit, got a little more fashionable with their wardrobe, and whatever that was, whoever sat down with them, if it wasn't the band themselves, and made that decision for them, it worked, because now, bigger than ever. Well, I'm going to go by where I saw the Warning tour. It's over on Lee Road, I believe. Also, if we're pulling out of here, I'm going to show what the front of the station looked like. So that truck, that 18-wheeler, is exactly in the spot where that wall is now. Like to a T, that 18-wheeler is almost imitating that wall there. And then there's the awning and that same little indentation of the grass area still there. All right, sometimes you got to look stuff up because decades pass and you really start to get a little bit forgetful on dates. So I was thinking the Warning tour of Green Day took place at a place called the Embassy in Orlando, right here off Addison. But in fact, it was the Nimrod tour. It was 97. November of 97. But I did go to two, so this is now a Walmart. But around here used to be the entrance to a place called the Embassy, where they used to have a lot of shows. Yeah, the whole facade has been changed, now a Walmart. But over here, if memory serves correct, this facade has changed, but you would go in here, which is now basically the back room of a super Walmart, or a Walmart grocery store. It's now the pharmacy drive-through. There used to be an entrance right there, which is the Good Times tour, which was 7 Seconds, Sprung Monkey, Blink-182, Back in 95, played right in here, but also Green Day in 97, did their Nimrod tour. Also saw Pennywise in here, I saw Offspring at AFI. But I do remember Trey Cool riding a bike around here. Right out here, he had like a BMX bike that they brought in the tour bus. And he was just driving around talking to everybody. Even though Nimrod was a very popular album, they were really at their peak of the amount of people. There really wasn't a whole heck of a lot of people in the show. It wasn't even sold out, if I remember correctly, but the entrance, memory serves, was like right about here. Speaking of Pennywise, I have a picture somewhere in a box with me, my friend Jason, Jim Lindbergh from Pennywise, and Jason Matthew Thirst, who passed away. He was the original bass player of Pennywise, and we were standing right here, and it's been repurposed, but we were standing right in this exact spot back in the 90s. But yeah, just thinking about Green Day, think about Trey riding the bike around here, talking to everybody. But I did end up going to the Warning Tour. Now that I'm thinking about it, did not come to Orlando, the specific Warning Tour in the early 2000s. So my friend Carlos and another one of his buddies and myself, we ended up doing a road trip. We went to Athens, Georgia to see Green Day with the Get Up Kids on the Warning Tour. And then we also went to House of Blues in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I saw Green Day in a small venue again in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at the House of Blues there. Amazing show. Wasn't as small as the station on the Dookie tour, but pretty awesome. That might have been one of the last times, either that or Athens, Georgia, that I saw Green Day in concert. I haven't seen them since. Man, I used to love old Green Day. All right, commuted over here to Bennett Road. All right, 10-15 minutes from where I just was. Now, I would love to say that I was at this particular show, but I was not. January of 2000, or 1993. I'm gonna say 2023. January of 1993. A little over a year before they played the station, the first time I saw Green Day, the band played right here. Club Nowhere. It's now called the Bipolar Cafe. This little teeny tiny place. Now, I did frequent this establishment many times. In fact, I saw Clutch here on the tour of their first album. I saw Face to Face on the Don't Turn Away tour. And quite a variety of others inside these walls. The entire venue is from here to there. In fact, the second portion isn't even part of the club. Club Nowhere was not very big. Right off Colonial Drive, corner of Park Lake and Bennett. That's Colonial, Highway 50, right up there. For a while, in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, this was a record store right here. Very short-lived record store, but that was way after Club Nowhere days. Yes, many times was I inside watching bands play, but I did not know about the Green Day show in January of 1993, which would have probably been the Kerplunk tour, because Dookie was not out yet. So kind of kicking myself that I didn't know about that happening at that time. Yeah, so I was just kind of in this neighborhood and wanted to stop off here and show this too, because this, pretty incredible. So this is even part of where Club Nowhere was. This was a separate section. So you just figure what would be the size of a small efficiency one-bedroom apartment. One of the biggest rock bands, current rock bands, performed here. The station was a little bit bigger than this, but not much bigger. It was a little bigger than Club Nowhere. But Club Nowhere would have been the one. So one of the probably 50 to 75 people that were here for that one probably got one heck of a show. And this is still the same front door. So I remember when I saw Face to Face here, I parked right over there on the street and paid my couple $1 admission fee. I think the Green Day show, I looked up a flyer for it. I looked up some information online. It was a $5. Probably wasn't even a load-in door. Bands probably loaded in the same door. Okay, I'm wrong. Here's the load-in door, right here. Here's the load-in door. Right here. This is the end of the venue, whereas right here. So this is all separate. So that would be the load-in door into the former Club Nowhere. Stage just beyond there. And the rest of the venue right there. Small. Alright, so that's basically it. Some memories of myself and Green Day from 3 decades ago. Dookie is officially 30 years and a couple days old. Where does the time go? I'm getting old. 3 decades have passed, and band's changed a lot. I've changed a lot. I mean, I'm not who I was 30 years ago, so I guess I can't critique anyone for modifying a little bit. I love old Green Day. I think pretty much, I really liked Warning. Warning was definitely a departure after Insomniac and Nimrod. So pre-Warning, really love everything. Warning, really enjoy, but after that, American Idiot and post-American Idiot, I enjoy, but I don't say I love those albums. I like them, they're good driving tunes, but anyway, nonetheless. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video. Good memories. Reminisce a little bit. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over.